Hello, everyone. My name is Jens Futch, and I've been working with Delphi since it came out in 1995. So I'm going to show you something that I have used to expand an old application that I built in the year 2000. So yeah, that was 21 years ago, and I used Delphi 5 to do so. At the time, I was only 5 years into experience with programming of Delphi. So some of the things that I did at that moment were not really cool, but it still works. The program is actually still working. And the program, the object of the program is to handle the points for archery contests. One of the things that it does is it also prints out score sheets, but in the last 21 years, things have actually changed in archery contests. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what I'm using now to get the score sheets. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. So the first thing I want to show you is this is the product that I downloaded, the TMSSoftware Flexcel for VCL and FMX. This is a really, really nice product. And I use this because it has a feature in where you can create reports from Delphi using Excel file format as export. Basically, what I want to do is I want to get some score sheets made that look very much like this. This is my Excel. This is a typical score sheet for archery. As you can see, it really makes sense to have it in Excel because there's a lot of small squares that you have to fill in and stuff. So this is what I want to be automatically filled in with name and club and stuff like that. So this is the goal that I want to achieve once I have done some. This is kind of like mail merge in Word, but for some reason Excel doesn't mail merge very well. So luckily I'm a programmer and I can do it my own way instead. So this is the goal that I want. And this is the input that I have. Now, the old program that I made back in year 2000, by chance, or I should say because I was foresighted, I made it a possibility to export to CSV. So this is a CSV file where you can see there are some lane letters and some names and clubs and stuff. So this is people entering an archery contest. So I want to merge the CSV file information into a score sheet. So that's the object of what I'm going to show you today. Now, I'm going to open up my virtual machine where I have my Delphi. This is the virtual machine where I have Delphi. And one thing I'm going to tell you is I do not have Excel installed on this machine. So as you see here, I have some XLSX files, some PDF files, and this is the same Archer List CSV file. But I don't have Excel on this machine. And I don't need to have Excel on this machine because the TMS Flexcel works even without having Excel on the machine. And this is the main user interface. I know it's not very pretty, but hey, this is only myself who's going to use this program as of now. I might make it better at some point in time. But basically, what I want to do is I want to load in the CSV file so that I have a list of archers in memory. And then I want to merge that into a template that I would create on the, a template that I want to create in Excel and then merge those two together to get the final result out of it. So the template I'm going to show you, this is on the other machine. So this is on my physical machine. I have a template, an example of a template here, where I have, it's arranged slightly different and I've got some logos and stuff, that's fine. What I have is the first thing to note is to get Flexcel to work properly in this manner here. If you have the desire to make use Flexcel for reporting purposes. So the tab of my Excel file, I named it square A dot lane no. So the A is going to represent the table name. So you should regard this as if I have a table called A, and in the table there's a field called lane number, and the field lane number is the primary key. So for every time there's a new value of a primary key, I would get a new page on, or a new tab here in my Excel. I'm going to skip saving as Excel. I'm just going to create a PDF file because, hey, Flexcel also does PDF. So, and what I want inside of this here is I have a .date, which is, of course, the date of a given competition. And then I have, this is in Danish, I'm sorry, scooter, that's archer. So a.name A. Because I have 4 archers on one lane and I want a new page for each primary key. So I've got name A, name B, name C, and name D. And the same with the club and the lane numbers and the bow type and the class that this archer is shooting. And the rest of all this stuff here, this is just fixed. So there's nothing going on in here. So it's just, I want to substitute whatever's in these tags here with the actual data that's in the CSV file. So it doesn't take very much fantasy to figure out that I want to put the name Dennis here into this field here and the name Tice into this field here. So that's basically the object of what I'm doing. I've copied, of course, this stuff onto my machine here, and this is what I have. I have the template here, template for 4 archers, and then I have the archer list.csv. And what I do programmatically is, well, first I'm going to load the data, and then I have a fixed text that I can put in here, a round number, and then I can merge the scorecards to actually create the PDF file. Let's have a look before that, what I'm actually doing with the different types of classes that I've created. So I've created an archer class. Everyone who knows me in my demos know that it's all got something to do with archery because that's what I really like. So I have a T archer, which is a class of T object, and this has the private fields, F name, lane number, H class, and all that stuff. Everything that's needed for me to put on the scorecards. And then I have a T archers, which is a generic object list of T archer, and it has the method load from a CSV file where you pass in a file name. And that's basically what that does. It'll just load up the archers from the CSV file. I haven't bothered yet. I'm going to do this differently, but I haven't bothered yet to actually make the columns in the file to be generic. So I have a fixed header here, which must contain lane number, lane letter, and so on. And this is just creating an archer where I pass in a string where strings where the strings have the different fields in it. And I can get the class abbreviation because I'm here concatenating the sex, age class, bow type, and shooting class into one instead of having it in different fields. So all of this is just maintenance code for loading up from a CSV file. Has nothing to do really with the Flexcel, but I'm showing you this anyway, just so you can see what I'm doing. The archers load from CSV file that takes the file name. I'm loading it in from the file as inside of a string list, setting the delimiter to a semicolon, setting the strict delimiter to true, running through the file. And I'm now creating a archer out of each line here, and I'm adding each archer to the list of archers. So it's just basically straightforward, generic. Then I have the lane class that's slightly different because I now here want not each line in the Excel file should be a record in the table, but I want all the lines with 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D to be one record with the primary key lane 1. But basically, it's more or less the same. I've just made a bit verbose here. Get class A, get class B, get class C, get class A, and all that stuff for my T lane class. So I have some functions to get all that stuff. I have properties, and these are read-only properties because as soon as I've created the list of lanes, all I want to do is get whatever is inside of them to put into in the fields that are going to merge into the Excel file. I can add an archer to the lane. I can get an archer from a lane. And the lanes, of course, is a derivative object list of T object list of T lane, where I have methods for get lane, load from CSV file, and set a date. And basically, this is just like the archers. This is just maintenance code to actually read from the file. So I have this loaded inside of memory. So I'll have a list of lanes, and I'll have a list of archers. And I'm going to use those two lists in different purposes. All right. So let's get back to what we're talking about with the actual Excel thing here. So load data, that's the one that's going to read up the file, the CSV file. I want to put a filter so that on the open dialog, so I can only choose a CSV file. And if I choose yes to do so, I'm going to, for the scorecards, which I'm showing you first, and there's a larger IDs I'm going to show you in a minute, but it's basically the same thing. So for scorecards, I'm going to create the T lanes if it's not already created. I'm going to clear it in case it was created, and I'm going to load from the CSV files. And that's actually all it does. So I've hidden all of the nitty-gritty details on how to load from that into the lanes itself. I do the same for archers for the archer IDs, but I'm showing you in a minute what this is all about. But the next thing I want to do is, after I've filled in these here, I want to merge the scorecards. So I actually want to merge from the CSV file, the data from there. I want to merge that into my Excel output. So I had a template file that I showed you, and that's what I'm using. So I'm taking the data from the CSV file, merging it with a template and creating an out file. So I have the open dialog filter. I'm going to put Excel template files. So I have named mine star.template.xlsx. They can be named whatever you want, but this is just a reminder to me, oh, this is a template file, not a real file that I'm going to use. It's not a template file as such in the Excel manner. It's a real XLX file, but I've named it template because I'm using it as a template for this. I have the save dialog. I want the output to be a PDF file. So I'm opening up an Excel file, and I want the output to be a PDF file. If I execute the open dialog and the save dialog, then I'm going to create a TXLS file with the file name. And there's a parameter true here. I can allow to overwrite existing files. So XLS is my variable of a type TXLS file, and the TXLS file is defined in the Flexcel XLS adapter. So obviously I have to use that in my file creator here. These are the files that I need to use in the users clause of my application. VCL, Flexcel core, adapter, report, and render. And so this is, let me get back to the button, merge scorecards. Here we go. Then I am creating also a report, which is of type T Flexcel cell report. I'm creating this report. I'm also creating a PDF, the T Flexcel PDF export that I'm creating from the XLS file as a base. So the XLS file and the PDF file here are linked together in these objects. Okay, I'm going to put the value of ed round number dot text, which is here, into the report with set value. Now, I should have done this also with the date, but when I was building this, I didn't know there was a possibility to do this. So I did it this way, and the other one I did it this way. So this is substituting a field, and this is setting a more or less a fixed text. I can set the date on my lanes. That's the date I have here. So I'm going to set that inside of the lanes object. And the report.add table T lane. So this is a generic adding a table. It does not have to be a table. It can be a table. It can be a T dataset descendant. But in this case, I'm adding a T lane, and it's generic, so it knows whatever the T lane is. Then I have the name of the table. Remember, I showed you the template file in XLSX had a.name, a.club, and so forth. I'm adding in the lanes list, so I have here a T object list of lanes, and I don't want to dispose it when it's done. I'm going to do that myself. And I'm going to run the report, and that's basically it. This is going to actually take my XLS file, and it's going to create an XLS file. I haven't saved it anywhere, but this is creating an XLS file, and it's going to add a tab sheet for each of the records in the data set. And I'm taking my PDF variable and call export all visible sheets. So for each sheet that's there, I'm going to export that into a PDF file. And then the rest is a matter of freeing everything up. Let's go and have a look and see if this actually works. I'm going to run the application here, and I have my load data. And I have put the, in here, in the Flexcel demo files. So I have my Archer list CSV. I'm opening that up, and I'm putting the date. Let's just put today's date in here. That's 15/02/2022. This is the Danish format of a date. And now when I click merge scorecards, it's going to prompt me for two files. The first file is which Excel template file do I want to merge it with. Now this is the one. So I want to merge this with the 1x30/3 arrows/4 arches.template XLSX. That's the one I showed you. And I want the output to be scorecards.pdf. Save, and that's it. Let's go and have a look. Scorecards. And here we have the file with today's date and the names, and it's created a nice PDF file with a new page for each lane that I have. It even creates bookmarks. So if I click on the bookmark thing here, I can choose to go to page 10 or 13 or whatever I have. And this is actually very, very nice and a really good way to create a report using the Flexcel if you want to merge your Excel file with some data. This, of course, means that you can create an application where your customers can customize their own reports. Now, just for fun, there's something else that I put in here, because what we also have in archery competitions is an Archer ID, which is basically the rules say we have to have the lane number and the lane letter on the back or on the quiver of each archer. But I put some more into this. So I'm going to put in here a text one, demo of Flexcel. I'll put, trying to think of something good. TMSSoftware.com. I don't want a space there. So now I'm going to hit the merge Archer ID, and it's again going to ask me for two different files. I've already loaded up the CSV file, and now it's going to ask me for which template file I want to merge this with, and to create the Archer ID. So on the Archer ID.template.xlsx, and I want the Archer IDs. I've already created that, you see, but I'm going to create it again. Archer ID 2. Now let's see what we got from that Archer ID 2. And here we have the lane letter 1A, demo Flexcel This is Dennis from the Club Arcus, TMSSoftware.com, and then of course my logo. So this is basically what we can do as a beginner's level of Flexcel. Of course, Flexcel does much more than this, but this is what I needed for the time being. So I'm going to minimize my Delphi here and minimize all this here. And I'm going to, if I can figure it out, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and say thank you very much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My name is Jens Fudge. You know me, jens.fudge@archersoft.dk. I'll put the my email address in the link here, but you'll be able to find it. So thank you very much, and hope to see you at another time.